Little Ralphie is not going to get his Red Ryder BB gun this year. You know why?
Because the supply chains are screwed up.
Right. And this is, may I say a bad word, Stu, again?
There are no such thing as bad words.
Ooh, Stu, that's a relativist concept. My mother may think less of me for saying this, but the progressives and the left fuck everything up, everything they touch. And this is just another example. And it's been brewing for some time. First of all, the ports can't handle all the container ships. First thing they fucked up was the lockdown. And we can blame Trump a little bit for that as well. But I've run some businesses before, Stu. I can remember I used to own a seafood processing business, and we got salmon raised in Fords in Argentina the next day after they were caught and killed. I remember one of my fast food entities, same thing with chicken. The chicken would be killed. It would be in our stores fresh the next day or in 2 days. This is where there's a just-in-time delivery system in America. It's capitalism. It works. And when you shut the world down, you're going to fuck all this up. So that's the first mistake they made. These ports, who owns the ports and who runs the port? LA is owned by the city of Los Angeles and they run the port. Long Beach is owned by the city of Long Beach and they lease the port out to a private entity. Who runs the ports? Unions run the ports. And California gives unions special privileges, unlike a right to work stay. The union that runs these ports is the International Longshoremen and Warehouse Union. And of course, the ports that are run in New Jersey and New York are the ILA. Of course, they're incredibly corrupt. The way these unions work is a longshoreman gets paid $175,000 a year plus medical benefits. So the state of California has created a fiefdom for these folks. They don't have the right to vote, right to work. And of course, what do the politicians in California get out of it? Well, LA is completely Democratic. Long Beach has 9 members on the city council, 8 are Democrats, 1 is, and the mayor is a Democrat. Well, the way all this works is they give the union special favors, and then the union is entitled to extract money out of those paychecks. And where does that money go? It goes back into the Democratic Party. I looked at the over-the-table campaign contributions of the, it's not sure if I mentioned what they were. They were the International Longshoremen and Warehouse Union. Well, I looked at their contributions of what they report, and 99% of them went to the Democratic Party. We also know that unions, especially longshoremen unions, are incredibly crooked and they have mob ties. So there's a lot of under-table benefits that flows back to the machine. If you ever seen On the Waterfront or any other movie about the mob, what union are they almost always talking about? It's the longshoremen and the Teamsters, right?
Absolutely.
The other thing the unions do, because they have this little fiefdom granted to them by the state, is they fight automation. There are reports in April of this year that Long Beach, the private entity that runs it, wanted to automate the port, spending a ton of money, and the union fought them. So the union fights efficiency because they just want to hold on to their fat jobs. Now, in the real world, Stu, any business, private business that's open, if they've got more business than they can handle, they find a way to handle the business.
Mm-hmm.
These ships have been backed up for, a year practically, and they only run an 8-hour shift. Why do they only run an 8-hour shift? Because they have a contract that says they only have to work 8 hours. So the rest of the country is being penalized by these unions, which are really just an arm of the Democratic Party. Now, opening them up 24 hours a day is what you or I or anybody who would run a business would have done in one day as soon as we saw that there was a backup.
Mm-hmm.
Any business would do that. It takes them a year to react. Well, these idiots in Washington who've never run a business, like our president, thinks that if they just say, okay, would y'all open up 24 hours a day? One, it's going to take a while for them to reach that point, but there's still a supply problem. And the supply problem is still a problem because the Democrats have fucked it up. Some examples, trucks. California has, they have this law called the CARB law. It's an environmental law. And I won't go into the specifics of it, but if you are a trucker and your truck is older than 3 years old, you cannot operate in these ports. So no independent truckers are able to work and compete to get the price down, one, but they can't even come into the port.
Jesus Christ.
Another law that California enacted, and I tried to help a client with this last year. She owned a travel agency, and they wanted to make the people who pay her, she's an independent contractor, she's a 1099, they wanted to make everybody an employee. Well, they have the same problems with trucking out there, which California is trying to make the contractors who sub out to these 1099 independent contractors employees, and that has stopped truck traffic. And of course, it has also stopped competition. Gee, I wonder why they want to stop competition, Stu. Maybe so their favorite group, the Teamsters, will get the contracts. So that's where the bottleneck is, and it's a long time coming, and it's happened because of these stupid policies by people who want to crook it, and two, have no idea how business works. Three, even if I haven't mentioned this, but these trucks all have to go to a distribution center. Well, if they're not open after an 8-hour day, because they also have are obligated under a union contract, and that's not going to move anything either. So there, in a nutshell. A couple other things about these ships being moored out there is, I don't know, there are 100 container ships off the coast of California now. A month or so ago, there was a kind of a massive oil spill outside of Orange County. Well, you know what happens, Stu? Anchors from these ships that are trying to stay apart from one another, and they have to drag the bottom, it hit an oil line, a pipeline. That's how that started. Well, few people know this, but right where these ships are is a great concentration of undersea fiber optics lines. And these anchors are dragging the bottom. And we could very well have a kind of a worldwide communications blackout because of this. So it's a mess, and it's a mess because Washington, they fuck up everything they touch.
Yeah.
So